The phone slipped from my fingers and jumped over the kitchen tiles twice, while my father's words pierced me like shards of glass. "You are no longer our daughter." His voice was flat, businesslike. It was the same tone of voice he used when firing employees. My mother was standing next to him, arms crossed, looking at her French manicure with more interest than she was showing towards her only child. Behind them, my half-packed suitcase was waiting at the door. My whole existence was suddenly reduced to what I could grab in 10 minutes, but my voice broke, while my hand instinctively covered my still flat stomach. "It's your grandchild." Dar's Kiefer tensed up while looking at his Rolex. 8 more minutes, Laura. Don't waste them trying to change our minds." Mom finally looked at me, her eyes cold as a Texan winter. "We expected more from you. Not this mess that destroys our name. My name is Laura. I am 39 years old and I am a hotel manager. This is the story about how I created an empire out of abandonment that they could never touch." The house I grew up in suddenly felt strange. Every family photo was a lie. Mom turned our family portrait on the mantelpiece face down. The frame hit the wood dully and the echo vibrated deep in my chest. It was the sound of being extinguished. Another 7 minutes announced date. He was scrolling on his phone as if this was just a minor inconvenience in his daily schedule. I moved mechanically, reached for clothes and my savings. I had just hidden Daler in an old jewelry box. In addition, I took with me the silver locket that my grandmother had given me before her death. It was the only piece of family I was allowed to keep. "Norman and I expect you to be gone when we get back from dinner," Mom said. She straightened her pearl necklace in the hallway mirror. "The locks will be replaced tomorrow morning." Outside our suburban house in San Antonio, until the November air through my thin jacket. No car, no cell phone contract you didn't pay for, not a place I could go to. I was 17 years old, pregnant, and completely alone. The betrayal cut even deeper when Victor's message appeared on a friend's cell phone that I had borrowed. "That's not my problem. My parents have already spoken to their lawyer. Stop calling." I had been staying with my debating teammate Elisa for 3 nights. I used her cell phone to desperately reach out to anyone who might be able to help me. Victor Red was the charming captain of the debate team. He was on his way to Harvard, my friend for 2 years. He disappeared just as completely as my family. His promises of forever dissolved when real consequences appeared. On my first night at Brackenridge Park, I curled up by a tree. My arms were tightly wrapped around my backpack and I cringed at every sound. The rustling leaves seemed to whisper the words of my parents. Disappointment. Loser chaos. The next morning my decision had been made. That would not destroy me. It would shape me into someone whose throwing away you would regret one day. For 3 weeks I survived on park benches and cheap fast food. I washed in the bathrooms of gas stations. My swanery was a terrifying secret that I carried all alone with me. Every night got colder, until Rose found Black Whelmig. She went for a walk with her ancient retriever at dawn. Her silver hair was elegantly coiffed despite the early hour. Her cashmere coat was made to look invisible against the cold when she approached my bank. "You're freezing out here," she said. Her Texan accent warm but uncompromising. "And don't even try to tell me that you're okay." When I didn't answer, she just sat down next to me. Her dog lay down at her feet. "I own the Blackwell Hotel Group. I need someone to start immediately at the reception of my hotel in the city center. Rooms included." My eyes narrowed. "Why would you help me?" "Because I was you 4 years ago." She nodded towards my belly with a difference. I didn't survive my first night outside. I lost the baby and almost died myself. She withstood my gaze. The difference between survival and destruction is often only one person who really sees you. The next day, I followed Rose to her flagship hotel in the center of San Antonio. Personally, she showed me the staff accommodation on the 5th floor, which was to become my new home. After that, she introduced me to the manager of the reception. Rose became my only employer. She became my mentor, my family. She didn't just give me a roof over my head in the staff rooms of her hotel. She showed me how to turn pain into strength over morning coffee in her office on the top floor. "The best revenge," she often said, while looking through the hotel's quarterly reports, "is not fast or conspicuous. It means building yourself up so much that they regret ever letting you go." I started as an assistant at the reception and got to know every area of the hotel business. I learned everything, from dealing with demanding guests to analyzing profit margins. Rose's lessons went far beyond hospitality. She taught me to read about people, to recognize weaknesses, and to always plan 3 steps ahead. The miscarriage happened during my 3rd month with Rose. The curp and fee started at the reception during my shift. Blood soaked my uniform before I could even reach the bathroom. Rose found me slumped there on the floor. My arms were protectively around my stomach, as if I could somehow hold everything together. She did not offer empty words. She sat down on the cold tiles, held my hand, and called her private doctor. Later, when I whispered that I had lost everything, she resolutely shook her head. "This is not the end of your story, Laura. Here she really starts only after a week of recovery." In my staff quarters, Rose introduced me to her closest circle. McWoker was her silver-haired lawyer with eyes that overlooked nothing. He became my guide through contracts and legal protection. The law, he explained during our first meeting in Rose's Woodspoon study on her private estate, is not about justice. It's about preparation. Whoever documents everything wins. Then Olivia Hears came from IT. With her quick fingers and her even faster mind, she taught me that digital traces never really disappear. People believe deleted means disappeared, she often said, and pulled out data that I had thought was out of reach. But everything leaves a trace if you know where to look. A year after I became part of Rose's world, I was standing in an adoption agency in San Antonio. My heart raced when the social worker brought baby Kevin in. He was 6 months old, had curious eyes and a grip that did not want to let go. I named it after the city that destroyed and rebuilt me. San Antonio became Kevin in the language of my new life. Rose officially made me his partner aunt. Her signature was big and decisive on the documents. Unofficially, she taught me to raise him as my strategic advantage. She enrolled him in coding programs at the age of 7 and promoted his natural talent for technology. He has already developed simple apps that solved real problems in hotel management. Not only intelligently, Rose often noticed while watching him at work. Innovative. He recognizes solutions that others overlook. Her eyes narrowed thoughtfully. One day they will come because of you. Do you know that? Success always attracts the vultures. For the next 10 years, I worked my way up within the Blackwell Hotel Group. Eventually, I became Rose's right-hand man and set up my own office on the executive floor. Kevin turned into an extraordinary young man. His talent for software development, even Rose's expectations exceeded, and I was prepared when it happened. 22 years after my parents slammed the door in my face, Kevin's groundbreaking software for increasing efficiency in hotel operations made headlines in the business world. I specifically placed stories in industry magazines and made sure that his name reached the right circles. The first contact came exactly as seen before. An elegant tablet was delivered to my office, along with a card from Norman and Ingrid Porter. My assistant brought it in and explained that a courier had insisted it was a personal gift that needed to be delivered to our talented grandson right away. Time to reconnect. "They are already circling," warned Rose from her hospital bed, where she spent her last months fighting cancer. She was looking at the card I showed her. Exactly according to plan. I sent the package back with a message in deliberately citrusy handwriting. That takes away too many painful memories. Olivia monitored her online activities. She intercepted every search about Kevin's success, every visit to legal websites about grandparents' rights, and every email between them and Victor in which they talked about their share of what they called the porter. She installed special software on my office phone and my cell phone to record all conversations with them. Mick confirmed that it was legal in Texas with the consent of one party. In carefully planned phone calls, I played the vulnerable one. My voice sounded uncertain when they called, and I gave out just enough information to keep their gear on fire. Kevin's software could be worth millions if scaled properly. I mentioned this casually, knowing full well that Olivia was recording every word. Their excessiveness increased rapidly. Norman and Ingrid confronted Kevin outside his office in the tech district. They had found out his working address through business directories. Their forced smiles could not hide their calculating looks while they were pushing for family time together. Victor sent messages to my work email about wanting to put everything back in order. while Olivia's surveillance documented his online searches for ways to legally assert paternity after being abandoned, I saw mistrust between them. Together with Olivia, we created untraceable email accounts to send anonymous notices. A message to my parents indicated that Victor was embezzling money from their reunion fund for his gambling debts. This information Olivia had revealed through his credit reports. Other messages to Victor suggested that my parents were planning to expel him as soon as they got access to Kevin. Their communication became increasingly hectic. Norman accused Victor of treason, while Victor back-protected that my parents would only use him. I fed the chaos with strategically placed information. During a phone call with my mother, I mentioned a $10 million valuation for Kevin's patent. I heard her breath gurgling with undisguised eagerness. The threats escalated from emotional pressure to legal action. "You owe us access to the family," my father demanded in voice messages recorded by Olivia. Victor's messages became increasingly desperate. "Think about Kevin's future, Laura. I am, after all, his father." Their last step was a lawsuit, in which they asserted rights to visit grandparents, as well as ABIC claims on the basis of consanguinity. Mac intercepted the submission. His analysis revealed their arrogance and their legal vulnerabilities. The stage for their downfall was set. Kevin's keynote at the San Antonio Techs. It attracted industry leaders, investors, and media. My parents and Victor sat conspicuously in the front row. She hid her well-groomed appearance, to which I had deliberately seduced her. I had personally invited her and hinted that this would be our moment of family reunification. Kevin started with gratitude for the family you choose yourself. His voice remained calm as he pointed at me. "Go." Screen behind him came to life with a recorded message from Rose. She had been recorded 2 months before her death catch of the year. Her face immediately dominated the room, as she explained, "Family are the people who stay by your side, not the ones who claim you as soon as you shine." The audience leaned forward eagerly as she continued. "I have seen cowards throw away their own blood and return with open hands as soon as this blood became valuable." After that, Max came to the lectern. His printout was professional, while he showed the document that they signed 22 years ago. It appeared on the screen in unmistakable clarity. "We, Norman Porter and Ingrid Porter, waive all rights to Laura Porter and any offspring born or unborn." An audible gasp went through the hall while cell phones filmed their signatures. They were unambiguous and devastating. Then came the emails. Olivia's intercepted messages appeared on the screen. They revealed their plan to take advantage of Kevin's success and Victor's attempt to manipulate her sense of guilt for financial gain. The last blow came from me. I got up and turned directly to them. "You demanded access to your grandson," I said. My voice was clear and kept moving around the room. "But there is no blood connection. I lost your grandchild the same week you dumped me. Kevin is my adopted son." The room exploded into murmurs while security guards were feeding on my parents and Victor. Mac announced the injunctions, which were delivered directly on the spot. Their faces collapsed under the weight of the truth. Not a grandchild that they could claim, not a fortune that they could usurp, only public humiliation while they were being let out. Their heads were lowered under the judgment of the crowd. Kevin stood next to me at the reception later. His hands clutched mine. "You told me at 12 that I was adopted," he said quietly. "But after seeing these people who threw you away, I now understand why you prepared me to be able to deal with it one day." The consequences came quickly and completely. Clips of the shameful departure of Norman and Ingrid Porter spread on social networks. Her real estate company lost important contracts, while clients distanced themselves from the scandal. The board removed my father as chairman within a few days. They sold their house in San Antonio at a loss and moved to a modest condominium in Phoenix. Their social circle disintegrated, while former friends whispered about their shame behind their back. Victor faced federal charges after Olivia's anonymous tip alerted the IRS to his hidden accounts, exposing years of tax evasion. My parents' promised six-figure severance package disappeared along with their assets. 6 months later, he was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. I did not offer reconciliation. My silence was a conscious choice while their carefully constructed lives fell apart. The Rose Blackwell Foundation for Young Women became my bequest. She was financed with $2 million from her estate to provide young mothers with housing, education, and vocational training. At the opening ceremony, I introduced our first step diatribe. She was a 19-year-old coding genius with a newborn daughter and determination in her eyes. When I handed her the step service certificate, I thought back to that cold November night when I was standing alone in front of my parents' locked door. Sometimes the family that matters most is the one you create from the ashes of betrayal itself. A letter came from my father last month. His handwriting was shaky. The return address from Phoenix was unknown to me. I put the unopened letter in my office next to Rose's will and Kevin's first patent. After all that had happened, I had no interest whatsoever in any explanation or apology that might be in it. Some words just come too late to still have meaning.